Welcome to our deep dive into Isabel Allende's The House of the Spirits,
Ah,
a
yes.
book that always seems to spark such fascinating conversations.
It really does.
Our mission today is to kind of understand its place
Right.
in Latin American literature,
Okay.
that magical realism that just draws you in,
Yeah.
and the themes that just stay with you
Wow.
long after you finished reading.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to unpack its historical and cultural context,
Okay.
the Trueba family saga, and those
Yeah.
unforgettable characters.
Yes.
We've got excerpts from the book itself,
Oh, great.
so we can get like a direct glimpse.
Right into Orlando's world.
Exactly.
Okay.
So imagine a family whose lives are so intertwined
Mm-hmm.
with the history of their country
Yeah.
that they become like a reflection of
Okay.
its triumphs and tragedies,
Wow.
where love and power are constantly clashing,
Mhm.
and where the impossible seems to just happen every day.
It's quite a world.
It is.
I'm
That's the word we're stepping into today.
excited.
What's so fascinating about The House of the Spirits is that Allende doesn't just tell a family story.
Right.
It becomes a mirror
Yeah.
reflecting Chile's turbulent 20th century.
Mhm.
Through the Trueba family,
Yeah.
we see the rise and fall of political regimes,
The clash of social classes.
the struggle for change.
All woven into their lives.
It's like the family itself becomes this microcosm
Right.
of Chilean society,
Yeah.
experiencing these events firsthand.
Exactly.
Now the novel spans 4 generations.
Right. It does.
Each
That's
generation grapples with the legacy
Right.
of the one before,
Right.
mirroring how Chile itself is grappling with its own past.
Oh, wow.
Allende uses this sprawling saga
Yeah.
to examine how historical events
Well-
impact individual lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just dates and names, it's about
yeah.
how people navigate
Yes.
those turbulent times.
And she does this through the lens of magical realism.
Yes.
A genre that's so prevalent
Hmm?
in Latin American literature.
We're talking about green hair,
Yeah.
moving objects with minds
Oh, yeah.
and spirits as just part of everyday life.
Precisely.
But it's not just fantasy for fantasy's sake.
No, it's not.
It's so much deeper than that.
Right.
These elements become metaphors
Yeah.
for the often surreal nature of life
Mm-hmm.
in a country like Chile,
All right.
where political realities could be just as unbelievable
Yes.
as any magical event.
So it's about finding a deeper meaning
Yes.
within those fantastical elements. It's
Mm.
not just about ghosts and premonitions. It's
Yeah.
about using those elements
Mhm.
to represent the unseen forces
Okay,
that shape our destinies and a nation's history.
let's talk about the family at the heart of it all.
Okay.
The Truebas,
Yeah.
they're presented in a way that just highlights those
Yeah.
love, power struggles and secrets that can
Mhm.
just stretch across generations.
Absolutely.
And the way Allende tells their story
Yeah.
is fascinating.
How so?
She uses this non-linear narrative, jumping back and forth in time.
Yeah.
Think of it like piecing together a puzzle
Mhm.
where the past and present constantly inform each other.
That's a great way to put it.
And this reflects how memory
Yeah.
and history intertwines,
Right.
blurring the lines between what's real
Mm-hmm.
and what's imagined.
I like that.
It's like those fragmented memories become part of the story itself.
Yeah, they do.
And then we have these incredibly complex characters.
Oh, yes.
Esteban Trueba,
Yeah.
the patriarch,
Right.
embodies the contradictions of
Yes.
Chile itself.
He does.
He's a powerful landowner,
Mm-hmm.
caught between the old ways
Right.
and the desire for progress,
Okay.
capable of both great love
Yeah.
and brutal acts.
And that incident where he punches Clara,
Oh, yeah.
his wife,
That's a pivotal moment.
it is. Yeah.
It's not just a domestic dispute.
Right.
It's symbolic
Mm-hmm.
of the larger issue of unchecked power,
Right.
the way it can corrupt
Yeah.
even those with good intentions.
Yeah.
And we see that theme play out
Mm-hmm.
throughout the novel,
Okay.
how power dynamics influence relationships
Yes.
and even political structures.
Absolutely.
And then there's Clara, who's
Yeah.
almost the opposite of Esteban.
In many ways.
She's blessed with clairvoyance,
Right.
that connection to the spirit world,
Mm-hmm.
and she represents a softer,
Okay.
more intuitive way of navigating the world.
Right.
Her ability to predict the earthquake, for example,
Yeah.
foreshadows that turbulent future
Right.
that awaits the family. And
Yeah. It's like she becomes a symbol
She does.
of hope and compassion.
Right.
Her magical abilities
Yeah.
are more than just parlor tricks. They're a way for Allende to explore
Right.
the unseen forces at play,
Yeah.
both in individual lives
Yeah.
and in the larger historical narrative.
And they offer such a stark contrast
Yeah, it
to
is.
Esteban's often harsh and domineering personality.
Right.
It's like she represents the possibility. It's like
Yeah.
a different path,
Okay.
one based on empathy and understanding.
I see that.
Then there's their daughter, Blanca,
Right.
who falls in love with Pedro Teixeira Garcia,
Yes.
a man who represents everything her father opposes.
Yeah.
This forbidden romance highlights those
Yeah.
social and political divides
Yeah.
that just run through the novel.
It's a reminder
Yeah.
that personal choices can have wider political consequences.
Yeah.
Blanca's love story becomes a microcosm
Wow.
of the larger conflicts playing out in Chilean society,
Yeah.
where traditional power structures are being challenged by new ideologies
100%.
and aspirations for social change.
And then, of course, there's Elba,
Yes.
Blanca's daughter,
Right.
who represents the next generation trying to understand the past
Yeah.
and forge their own path.
Okay.
She inherits her grandmother's connection to the spirit world,
Right.
seeking truth in a world marked by secrets and trauma.
Alba embodies resilience
She does.
and the search for meaning
Right.
in the face of adversity. It's like she's piecing together the
Yeah.
fragments of her family's history,
Right.
trying to make sense of the events that
Right.
have shaped her own life and the fate of her nation.
It's almost like each character embodies
Yeah.
a specific theme or idea
Right.
that Allende wants to explore.
They intertwine throughout the novel,
They do.
creating this rich and complex tapestry.
It's
It's not just about one person's journey. It's about how those individual stories
Right.
connect to a larger narrative of love,
Yeah.
loss,
Yeah.
power,
Right.
and the struggle for social change.
The House of the Spirits is more than just a captivating story.
Right.
It's a reflection of a nation's history,
Yeah.
a meditation on the human condition,
Absolutely.
and an exploration of those unseen forces that shape our lives.
I completely agree.
It's like Allende's inviting us to see the world
Yeah.
through a different lens.
Okay.
One where the boundaries
Right.
between reality and imagination blur,
I like that.
and where magic becomes a metaphor
Yeah.
for those mysteries that lie at the heart
Yeah.
of human experience.
And I think that's what makes this novel so enduring.
I think, too.
It's a story that stays with you
Right.
long after you've finished reading.
It does.
Prompting you to think about your own family history, your own beliefs about the world,
Yeah.
and the ways in which the past
Right.
continues to shape the present.
That's a great point.
We're all living in houses
Yeah.
built from the stories of those who came before us.
Oh, wow.
And within those stories,
Yeah.
we can find both darkness and light, pain and resilience,
Right.
and ultimately
Yeah.
the enduring human spirit.
That's a perfect segue,
It is.
I think, into the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We've set the stage with the historical context
Right.
and explored the intricacies
Yeah.
of the Trueba family.
Okay.
Now let's delve deeper into
Yeah.
those unforgettable characters
Alrighty.
and the themes that drive this powerful story.
Sounds good.
Stay with us.
I will. Welcome back to our deep dive into the House of the Spirits.
We're ready to jump back in.
We've established kind of the historical and cultural backdrop. So now I'm eager to really explore these captivating characters
Oh, yeah.
in more detail.
Me too. It feels like each character embodies these universal themes, you know,
Right.
like
Yeah.
love, power,
Yeah.
memory, social change. They're not just individuals.
Right.
They represent different facets
Yeah.
of the human experience
Right.
within this specific historical context.
Let's revisit Esteban Trueba.
Okay.
We talked about his contradictions,
That's
that
right.
blend of ruthlessness and affection.
Yeah.
He builds this grand estate, Las Tres Marias, almost like a monument to his own ambition and
Right.
desire for control.
And yet there are these moments where we see a softer side to him,
Right.
particularly in his relationship with Clara.
Yes,
He clearly loves her deeply,
he does.
but his need for control often overshadows that love.
Right.
How do you interpret that dynamic?
I think Esteban represents a certain type of masculinity that was prevalent in that era,
Yeah.
shaped by traditional values and a rigid social hierarchy.
Right.
He sees power as something to be seized and maintained,
Okay.
both in his personal life and in the political arena.
Interesting.
His actions, even those driven by love, often stem from a need to dominate and control his surroundings.
So it's not just about, like, being a bad person.
Right.
It's about how those societal norms and expectations
Yes.
can really shape a person's behavior,
They can.
even if it leads to destructive outcomes.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And Clara, with her ethereal nature
Yeah.
and deep empathy,
Mm.
becomes a foil to Esteban's harshness.
Okay.
She challenges his worldview,
Right.
not through direct confrontation,
Okay.
but through her very being.
Yeah.
Her connection to the spirit world
Hmm.
gives her this different perspective,
Yeah.
one that embraces intuition and compassion over brute force.
I'm thinking about the scene where Clara goes silent for 9 years
Oh, wow, yeah.
after witnessing her sister's death.
Right.
It's such a powerful statement.
It is.
A refusal to participate in a world that has become too brutal to bear.
Mm-hmm.
But is it ultimately effective?
That's a great question.
Does it change Esteban at all?
I think her silence is a testament to her strength,
Okay.
her way of protesting against the injustices she sees around her.
Mhm.
Whether it changes Esteban directly is debatable.
Okay.
He remains a complex character throughout the novel,
Right.
capable of both tenderness and cruelty.
Right.
But Clara's silence does force him to confront his own actions,
Yeah.
see the world through a different lens, even if he doesn't always like what he sees.
It's like she disrupts
Right.
his carefully constructed reality,
Yeah.
forcing him to acknowledge the pain and suffering
Mm.
that his actions have caused.
Absolutely. And her connection to the spirit world.
Right.
That's not just a plot device, right?
No.
It feels like Allende is using magical realism
Mhm.
to explore the unseen forces that
Sure.
shape our lives.
Okay.
Those things we can't explain with logic or reason.
Right.
Magical realism allows Allende to delve into the realm of
Mhm.
intuition, dreams, and premonitions,
Okay.
acknowledging that there are forces at play that we don't fully understand.
Right.
Clara's clairvoyance, her ability to communicate with the dead,
Yeah.
it's a way for her to tap into a deeper knowledge,
Right.
a wisdom that transcends the material world.
And it's so interesting how that connection to the spirit world
Mm-hmm.
contrasts with Esteban's very grounded,
Right.
pragmatic approach to life.
Yeah,
He dismisses those things as superstition,
he does.
but in a way that makes him more vulnerable.
Right.
He's blind to the forces he can't control.
That's a great point.
Esteban's worldview
Yeah.
is very much rooted in the material world.
Mm-hmm.
He believes in what he can see and touch,
Right.
what he can conquer and possess.
Okay.
Clara's connection to the spiritual realm
Yeah,
challenges that worldview,
it does.
suggesting that there are other ways of knowing,
Right.
other forces at play
Okay.
that can't be explained by logic or reason.
It's like she represents a different kind of power.
She does.
One that's rooted in empathy and intuition
Right.
rather than dominance and control.
And that difference in perspective
Mm-hmm.
creates this dynamic tension between them
It does.
throughout the novel.
Okay.
Their relationship becomes a microcosm
Right.
of those larger conflicts
Yeah.
between tradition and modernity,
Mm-hmm.
between the seen and the unseen,
Right.
between the desire for control
Okay.
and the acceptance of what we can't control.
And within that dynamic, we see the theme of memory play out.
Mm-hmm.
The novel jumps back and forth in time,
Right.
revealing the past
Yeah.
through different characters' perspectives.
Right.
It's like the past is always present,
Mm.
shaping the present in ways we don't always realize.
It's particularly relevant in a country like Chile,
That is.
where the weight of history is so palpable.
Right.
The characters are haunted by the ghosts of their past,
They are.
both literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Esteban struggles with the guilt of his past actions.
Mm-hmm.
Blanca tries to reconcile her love for Pedro Tercero
Right.
with her father's disapproval,
Yeah.
and Alba seeks to understand the secrets and tragedies that have shaped her family's destiny.
Okay.
They're all grappling with the legacy of
Right.
what came before.
And those personal struggles
Right.
mirror the larger social and political upheavals
Hmm.
that Chile is experiencing.
Yeah.
We see the rise of socialist ideals,
Okay.
the growing discontent among the working class, and the eventual military coup that
Yeah.
plunges the country into chaos.
It's a lot.
Allende uses the Trueba family saga
Mhm.
to explore those larger historical forces,
Go ahead.
showing how they impact individual lives.
It's like the characters are caught in this web of history.
Yeah.
Their personal choices intertwined
Right.
with the political realities of their time.
Mm-hmm.
They can't escape the forces that are shaping their lives.
Right.
But they can choose how they respond to this
You
whole
can, and that's where the theme of social change comes in.
Okay.
We see characters like Pedro Tercero fighting for a more just and equitable society, while others like Esteban cling to the old ways, resisting the winds of change.
Yeah, it's interesting.
The novel doesn't offer easy answers or simple solutions, but it does present a nuanced view of the complexities of social change, the challenges and unintended consequences that can arise even from the most well-intentioned revolutions.
It's like Allende is saying that progress isn't linear,
Right.
that there are always setbacks and unforeseen challenges. And within that struggle for change, we see those characters wrestling with questions of power, love, and loyalty.
Absolutely. And those questions don't just apply to the characters in the novel. They're universal questions that we all grapple with in our own lives.
How do we navigate the complexities of power dynamics in our relationships? How do we hold on to love and compassion in a world that can often feel cruel and unjust?
Exactly.
How do we reconcile our personal desires with the needs of our community and our nation?
Those are big questions.
They are.
And it sounds like the House of the Spirits doesn't shy away from exploring those deeper, more challenging aspects of the human experience.
Exactly. It's a novel that engages with the darkness and the light, the beauty and the brutality of life. And through those contrasts, Allende creates a story that's both captivating and thought-provoking.
Right.
One that stays with you long after you've finished reading.
I feel like we've only scratched the surface of what this book has to offer.
There's just so much richness and complexity in those characters and themes.
I completely agree, and I think that's a testament to Allende's skill as a writer. She weaves together those personal stories, historical events, and magical elements to create a tapestry that's both beautiful and profound.
Speaking of beauty and profundity,
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how Allende uses language to evoke those qualities. We've talked about magical realism.
Right.
But what about her writing style itself?
Yeah.
How does she create that sense of enchantment and wonder?
That's a wonderful question.
It is.
Allende's prose is often lyrical and evocative, filled with vivid imagery and sensory details.
Right.
She has a way of describing even the most mundane objects and events with a sense of poetry and magic.
I see.
For example, when she describes the house at Las Tres Marias, it's not just a building. It's a living, breathing entity filled with the memories and spirits of those who have lived there.
It's like the house itself
It is.
becomes a character in the story.
Exactly.
And her descriptions of the natural world, the Chilean landscape, those are equally captivating.
Absolutely. Allende has a deep connection to her homeland. She does. And that love for Chile shines through in her writing.
I can see that.
She describes the mountains, the valleys, the deserts with such passion and precision that you can almost feel the wind on your face and smell the scent of wildflowers in the air.
It's like she's inviting us to experience Chile through her senses, to see the beauty and the power of this land that has shaped her and her characters.
Right.
And that connection to place, to history, to the unseen forces that shape our lives.
Right.
That's what makes The House of the Spirits such a powerful and enduring work of literature.
I couldn't agree more.
It's a novel that transcends time and place, speaking to something deep within the human soul.
Right.
And I think that's what makes it so relevant today.
Absolutely.
Even decades after it's first published. It's themes of love, loss, power, and the struggle for social justice are just as timely and important as ever.
In a world that can often feel chaotic and uncertain.
It can.
I think we all crave those stories that remind us of the beauty and resilience of the human spirit.
Exactly. Stories that challenge us to think deeply, to feel deeply, and to connect with something larger than ourselves.
Beautifully said, and I think that's a perfect note to end on with this part of our deep dive. We've explored those complex characters, the intertwining themes, and the lyrical beauty of Allende's writing.
That's been great.
Now, in the final part, we'll delve deeper into the novel's enduring legacy and consider its relevance to our own lives today.
All right.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into the House of the Spirits.
I'm so glad we could continue this conversation.
Me too.
Yeah.
We've explored the Trueba family saga, the historical context,
right,
all those fascinating characters,
yeah,
and the themes that connect them all.
It's been a great discussion.
It has. Now let's talk about the bigger picture.
Okay.
What makes this novel so enduring? Why does it continue to resonate with readers decades after its publication?
Well, I think one of the key reasons is Allende's masterful exploration of the cyclical nature of history.
Okay.
We see how the past shapes the present, how those patterns of violence and oppression repeat themselves across generations.
Yeah.
It's a sobering reminder that we're not just living in the moment.
Right.
We're carrying the weight of history on our shoulders.
That idea of carrying the weight of history.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
It is.
And we see it play out in the novel through Esteban Trueba's actions.
Right.
His choices, both good and bad, have repercussions that ripple through the lives of his children
They do.
and grandchildren.
Yeah.
It's like he sets in motion this cycle of pain and trauma that's difficult to break free from.
Exactly. And that cycle reflects the larger patterns of history.
Right.
How past injustices can haunt the present if they're not acknowledged and addressed.
But the novel also offers this glimmer of hope.
It does.
We see it in Alva's decision to write the family history, to reclaim her narrative, and break the silence that has surrounded their past.
That's such a powerful act. She's not just recording events.
Right.
She's actively shaping the narrative.
Yeah.
Choosing what to remember and how to remember it.
So she's taking control of her family's story.
She is.
And in a way, her country's history.
It's an act of defiance.
Right.
A way of confronting the ghosts that haunt her family and her nation. And it suggests that healing can only begin when we acknowledge the past, both the good and the bad, by choosing to remember, by choosing to tell our stories. We can break free from those cycles of pain and create a new future.
But that healing process, as we see in the novel, it isn't easy.
No, it's not.
It's messy, complicated, and often painful. There's no quick fix for the traumas of the past.
You're absolutely right. There's no magic wand that can erase the scars left behind by violence, injustice, and oppression.
But by facing those traumas head on, by speaking truth to power, we can begin to dismantle those systems that perpetuate those cycles of harm. And we can create a more just and equitable world for ourselves and for future generations.
And within that struggle for justice and healing, Allende doesn't shy away from depicting the darker aspects of human nature. We see violence, abuse, and the corrupting influence of power throughout the novel.
Those elements could make for a bleak outlook.
They could.
But somehow the story still feels hopeful.
I think that hope comes from the resilience of the human spirit, which Allende portrays so beautifully, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Her characters find ways to resist, to love, to create beauty, and to connect with something larger than themselves.
That's a good point. We see it in Clara's unwavering compassion, in Blanca's fierce love for her daughter, and in Alva's courageous resistance to tyranny.
They remind us that hope is not a passive emotion. It's a call to action. It's a commitment to fighting for a better future. Even when the odds seem stacked against us.
And that fight, as the House of the Spirits shows us, is often waged on multiple fronts.
It is.
It's about challenging political systems, confronting social injustices, and healing the wounds of the past.
But it's also about those smaller acts of courage and compassion that we perform in our daily lives. The choices we make, the ways we treat each other, the stories we tell. All of these contribute to creating a world that's either more just or more unjust.
It feels like Allende is saying that we all have a role to play.
We do.
In shaping the future. That we're all part of this interconnected web of humanity.
Exactly. The House of the Spirits is not just a Chilean story. It's a human story.
It really is.
It's about the ways in which we're all connected. The choices we make and the consequences that ripple outward, shaping the lives of those around us. And it's a reminder that even in the face of immense suffering, there's always the possibility of redemption, of healing, of creating a more just and compassionate world.
It's been an incredible journey exploring this book together.
I agree.
I feel like we've only scratched the surface of its richness and complexity.
And I think that's the mark of a truly great work of literature.
It is.
It stays with us, prompting new insights and questions long after we've finished reading.
So as we conclude this deep dive, I want to encourage our listeners to pick up a copy of The House of the Spirits and embark on their own journey of discovery.
It's a great book.
It's a book that will challenge you, move you, and stay with you long after you've turned that final page.
And as you delve into the world of the Trueba family, remember to consider the echoes of those themes in your own life. How do the stories of your family shape who you are?
That's a good question.
What legacies have been passed down to you, both good and bad? And how can you use your own voice to break cycles of pain and contribute to creating a more just and compassionate world?
Those are powerful questions.
They are.
And I think The House of the Spirits provides us with a framework for exploring those questions, for understanding the complexities of our own histories and the ways in which we're all connected.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking those moments of magic in the everyday.